Well, hello and good morning, everyone. As you can see, this is Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and I got a big cheese smile on my face because I had to compose myself because Mr. Badbit threw a zinger in there right before we went live, and I can't stop laughing. If you folks would have been in the green room, you would have been laughing too. But we have a great 2-hour show for you folks. Listen. The topic of the day isn't going to change. We're going to be breaking down the fact that Microsoft has confirmed that Sony is going to still have Call of Duty, mainline Call of Duty, all Call of Duties, not a part of Call of Duty, not Warzone 2 and stories are going to stay over here. They're going to get Call of Duty. We have it on good authority that the Nintendo Switch at some point is going to get Call of Duty, as well as even potentially Overwatch 2 and maybe even Diablo 4. Listen, I said this on the stream last night with Pong and Mav on PM in the PM. I said it on the special edition episode of the Xbox Factor podcast where Joe was one of the guests. I personally don't care. I understand if you do, but before I get into someone that DM'd me, I got to give him a big shout out. Before I get to do that shout out, I got to get to the introductions. We'll start first with our very special guest, the man, the mouth of the South of Canada, Noof Nukem. What's up, dude? How's everything?
Boom, boom, kaboom. Yes, it is good to be back on Breakfast with Boom. Plenty of it here this morning. Big topic, fantastic panel with Mr. Badbit, Fuzzy Belvedere. Good to see you on PM on the PM last night. That was a great show. Always good to see you there with Pong and Mav. And like I said, it's great to be back. Another Friday morning, and let's get right into the juicy bits.
Yes, well, it's great to have you back here. We have a lot to get into. Just going into the room, the best voice in the business. We'll get to you in a minute, Crispy Bomb, but we have to welcome in Joe, Mr. Badbit. Joe, first of all, it's always great to work with you. You know I love you like a brother. I absolutely love the work that you do in the PlayStation community. I love what you and Kyle do on the trophy room. The success that you guys have seen is only the amount of effort that you both put into the show. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we've been hitting all types of goals. You know, one of our goals that I just came to the realization this morning was to hit 300 Apple reviews, and this year, and it's February, we're at 245.
Wow,
so
dude, that's fantastic. See, that's the hard work, brother. That's the hard work.
And it's awesome to see that like so many Xbox folks come in and they're like, "Hey, I can listen to your show." And maybe not agree with all the things, but I can at least listen and understand and maybe get your viewpoints on things. And like this episode in particular, you know, we talked about this and we're like, yes, there's nothing really here. It's like, if you want to play it, you play it. If you don't, you don't, you know, yeah, life goes on. But you know, this week's episode's a lot of fun as well, because for the first time in Trophy Room history, Boom, we go to Speculation Town.
Did you know that I'm no longer a co-mayor? I have been promoted to governor.
You're governor?
I am the governor. Yes.
Well, let me tell you something. You're keeping the streets clean, good sir, because we went downtown. We started a window shop, and we're like, ooh, what's this? Look at that. What are the possibilities here? I'm not going to say I hated it.
Did you try the cotton candy?
You know what? I didn't. I'm on a diet, but, you know.
I love it. That's great.
If you can't tell.
Joe, it's great to have you here, brother.
Of course.
Thank you for joining us. We got to welcome in, of course, Fuzzy Belvedere. Fuzzy, we didn't expect you here today. I don't know how many people know what's going on, and I'm not going to shout you out, but it is great to have you here. You are a family, and we're glad that you're here hanging out with us.
Thank you so much. Just needed to kind of clear my head and get away from stuff in the background. But man, awesome topics today. Awesome panel on here. Welcome, Noof, and Mr. Badbit and Crispy. Man, it's we're gonna have some fun today.
Yeah, I actually did. I'm so into the talking, I forgot to start the footage. Anyway, but listen, let's welcome in Crispy Bomb. Now, VJ will be here momentarily. Crispy, I know for an absolute fact you're gonna have a lot to say on this news that broke well, pretty much broke the internet this week. You have people for it, people for against it. You have people kind of down in the middle. But I, of course, am very interested to get your opinion on it, brother. How the heck are you?
Good morning, everybody, and what is up? We got Bad Bit back again. What's going on? And then we got the Noof. What's up, Noof? Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and you got some crazy good topics this week, so it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, you know what? The first one I want to open up with isn't a topic that wasn't that I didn't write up. As a matter of fact, this comes to us from a gentleman in the chat that is a big fan of the show, and I'm a big fan of his because he constantly supports it. And I'm talking about Sith Lord, who I know for a fact is listening. He dropped something into my DM that I found unbelievably perplexing, but so thought-provoking that I wanted to make it an opening topic of the show. So Sith Lord, this is for you, brother. Now this is I'm gonna read from my phone because obviously, that's what, better yet, why read from my phone when I can just pop it up over here? Let me just get the Sith Lord. There you are, brother. Okay, so this is what Sith Lord had to say. And this is something that has not come up in conversation as of yet. I find it to be, again, very thought-provoking. He says, after listening to the Xbox Factor podcast yesterday, I started thinking, I would understand if people would be worried if Xbox or Sony bought whatever they wanted and were afraid of them making them exclusive, not being able to find a console or, more importantly, afford the other system. I wouldn't blame people for freaking out over that. But but they are going to stay multi-platform. People should be praising both Sony and Microsoft for staying multi-plat. And I think that is something that we have not heard. And look, Bungie came right out after the announcement of them being purchased by SIE that Destiny 2 and all of their projects moving forward were going to be multi-plat. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't believe it, but it's out there. They said it. And apparently that was a big sticking point with them signing with Sony. A lot of people called it a big L for Sony, that they have no control over this company. But I think that this is a great business partnership where they're going to show SIE how to make these games as a service successful. And if we know anything about Sony, well, they have a lot of great IPs that could certainly be brought back. Perfect example, SOCOM. Imagine having a SOCOM level type of game like Destiny. Sign me up. I'm all in for that. Resistance, Fall of Man, which we've been hearing is going to come back in a big way, a remake. That had a great online system. Could you imagine being able to use what they have with Destiny in a Resistance, Fall of Man? Again, that's for me. I'm sign me all up. Now maybe that's just a me thing, but I'm all in for that. So before we get into the actual, opinions of the panel on Call of Duty staying on PlayStation and potentially going to Switch, before we get to that meat and potatoes, I kind of want to get people's opinion on the praise that has not been given to both Microsoft and Sony for saying, hey, listen, we did spend some money, but we are going to keep these games multi-plat because we understand. Well, I mean, listen, the back end of the conversation is they want money, right, Joe? They want money. We're not dumb. We're not dumb animals like you always say. but they are PRing it correctly where we matter. If I'm a Destiny guy or I'm a Bungie fan and I don't have a PlayStation 5 because I don't like Sony, but I like Bungie. Well, am I shit out of luck now? No, I'm not. Joe, I want to hand this ball off to you. Are we forgetting to praise the companies for coming out and saying, "Hey, take it easy, folks. Listen, multi-plat, it's okay. You're still going to be able to play your favorite game."
Well, it's kind of like today we just saw Horizon crossing 20 million units, God of War selling 2 million units on PC. I don't know, praise is the right word I'd use. I think it's the trend that's happening. Okay. I think or you know what? Better, I think for me, acknowledgement. Acknowledging that this is happening, that they see profits beyond their ecosystem and that they're moving forward instead of backward is really awesome to see. And I would also dare to say holding them accountable for the things that they say is
Great
the right
point.
approach, right? I saw some people go, oh, they did this because Sony was so frank about the Destiny lack of exclusivity, right?
I think that well, you know what, Joe? I actually was one of the people that said that. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily know if it's a 1-to-1, but it's certainly something I think that they had to do.
Yes, and that's what I'm on similar brain links with you or whatever is the fact that this is a response because Microsoft knows that it's a $2 trillion company and it's going to be viewed differently than Sony, which is a $1 billion company, right? That Microsoft is already in so much and they want to seem as open, kind, and considerate as possible. And so, to me, I view this move and I view the way Sony's handling it of this is awesome that they're finally acknowledging and getting past the boxes thing, right? That so many fanboys love to, whether it's PlayStation or Xbox, every month go toe to toe with each other. Like somehow they have stake in the company and it matters. To me, this is awesome to see. And it is what's going to be the future, where you're going to get the premier experience on the box and you're going to get something of quality on your competitor's system. We're going down that road. And it's exciting because this is so different than what we have seen, not just last gen, but any gen. This is really exciting stuff. So I'm all in for this, man. I think this is, again, I don't know, like praising them. No, I think holding them accountable, because the next move PlayStation might make, however big it is, which I saw some dumb idiots go, oh, I heard things. It's going to be this and it's going to be that. It's like, no, you don't know anything. Stop, shut up. You're doing it for clout. Anyway, nonetheless, going on tangent, whatever they purchase, we also have to kind of hold them at the same standard of going, okay, so you're going to keep the same energy. Why or why not?
Yes. Yeah.
And they should. And like, God forbid they take, just throwing it out there, I have no inside source or anything, but like they take let's just be crazy with this one. Like they take Take-Two, right? And then they have a responsibility to me of keeping that same energy and keeping those games on other platforms as well. So that's me.
I mean, listen, I think what you're going to see is when they did the purchase for Bethesda, it was a case by case basis, right? We understood that games like Fallout 76, games like Elder Scrolls Online, that continues to explode on the scene. They just had a huge update and a whole new thing come to the to all the platforms. I think what you're going to see is when Toys for Bob ultimately makes a Banjo-Kazooie game, right? That's what we're thinking. That's what I'm hoping. I'm praying to the gaming gods that, obviously I want my Banjo-Kazooie. That's going to be an Xbox exclusive, right? That's yeah. I mean that's
when they make the Crash game.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm nuts.
No. I mean, well, again, I have a strong suspicion that certain games are going to stay from this purchase, are just going to be exclusive.
I think any game that is a games as service, live service game is gonna be on multiple platforms. I've said it on my show and I've gotten flack for it. I bet in the coming years, well, maybe this year, won't be next year, you're going to see a Last of Us Factions on an Xbox. Absolutely. I think anything live service is going to be on multiple platforms, because the most important thing to those games are engagement and community. And those things go hand in hand. You need that engagement. You need those player numbers. And just by going on one platform and staying there, you can't do it. You got to go on multiple. And as many as you can. I'm sorry.
No. Great stuff as always. Noof, let's get your opinion on this, brother. Not so much to your opinion on the Microsoft announcing Call of Duty being multi-plat and staying multi-plat pretty much forever. I want to get your opinion on what Sith Lord had to say. I think he's onto something. I have yet, and I I'm in these Twitter streets trying to, obviously promote my own brand, promote other brands, but I'm always looking. And the one thing I have not seen is anyone be like, hey, good on you, Microsoft and Sony, for keeping these games and not pulling them away from people. What are your thoughts on that?
It's huge for the industry. It's definitely a changing of the guard, and things are certainly changing. We've said this for a while. We've seen this for a while. The writing's kind of been on the wall that the landscape has changed. If you don't think so, well, look at the fact that Sony finally put their revered first-party games on a PC platform. What's the difference between single player and multiplayer? It's the word multi, right? Multiplayer games are costing more money than ever, and of course, in the very competitive landscape of multiplayer games now, where you've got a handful of games kind of ruling the roost, and everybody else is a kind of, you're either gonna come out and be a surprise like Apex Legends, or you're gonna come out and basically fall at the bottom of the pack, and be a never was kind of deal. We're seeing that sort of type of thing already with Crossfire, but that's a topic for another day. But it's costing millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars to make and produce these games, and they only make back bank when they're played by their biggest audience. And if you're very restrictive of your audience, you've got to be just hoping that everybody, that you just have a mass adoption out of the gate, or those sorts of things. So by being in more places, and that's what you say, games that that are games as a service will most likely stay multiplayer because they already have an established user base, and it would be a really kind of a douche move to pull people away from that, to say, well, now you can't play unless you're going to play to a restricted platform. Like I said, that's kind of douchey in the long term. So like it's a great thing what they're doing. I from a fanboy perspective, sure, because it takes away a narrative. It doesn't give you those bragging rights. It doesn't give you that that extra edge, in that debate or conversation. It becomes a very mute point. But like I said, they want to reach out. They want to make money. Games are taking longer than ever to produce as well. So having content is king. If you're going to have a service, something like Game Pass or PlayStation now, and you want it to thrive, you need constant content. And of course, you're going to, for, every game that comes out and hits the bullseye, there's going to be 5 or 6 games that are going to fall by the wayside, that people are going to enjoy for a couple of days and perhaps move on. This is just the nature of the business. We're getting over inundated with games right now. It's absolutely insane. So, I mean, it's a great move. It's a look, and it's also a leveraging tool, right? Because, Microsoft probably, when this is all said and done, will probably have the leverage to, sorry, what?
I'll continue. So I just brought VJ into the studio.
Okay. But they'll probably have, it's a leveraging tool. So it's kind of like, well, if our competitors do want to play hardball, if they do want to sort of get dirty, we do have that in our repertoire. We could pull said certain thing, or we could do that. It's not really in, Phil Spencer and the new Xbox regime is in their sort of their wheelhouse, but things have changed, guys. This is not the 360 PS3 era where the ecosystems were so uniquely alike. Now they're very, very different. Every console is sort of doing their own thing in its own different way and being very successful at it. Look at Nintendo. They are the biggest oddball in the whole picture, and these guys are killing it. They are doing nothing the traditional way. They're going against the grain. They're the only guys yet that don't have an online that's even worth talking about, and yet somehow here they are, making money hand over fist, selling consoles like crazy. But again, Nintendo is also fortunate enough to realize they are the anomaly, that they just, they keep striking lightning in a bottle, and they owe it to their hardcore fans, a lot of them, who just support them no matter what.
Right here, Sports for the win, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly, right. But they know what their audience likes in that terms. They, and they're satisfied with that, because again, it's a stockholders too, guys, as fans.
Yeah.
Yes, we look at it from one perspective, but you got to remember, when you're spending billions of dollars for stuff, there's got to be return on investment, and you don't do these investments if there's not long-term gain. You don't do this to go, well, we're going to make a couple of million when this is all said and done and it's all over with. They want to have long-term. We already saw an article that says Xbox wants to put it on the Switch, Call of Duty, which would be huge for Nintendo. It would be huge for fans that perhaps that's the only place they play and have always wanted a Call of Duty. Heck, I'd be tempted to pick up a Call of Duty just to play it on the go. So like
that would be kind of dope, dude. I'm not gonna front. Yeah, I like it.
It's a win-win scenario here. Like, I mean, Microsoft is going to win. They're going to get the marketing rights, just as Sony's going to get with Bungie. So they're going to have the marketing. They're going to be looked at as the place to play these games. Now, whether they sell more copies on one or the other, but again, it's engagement, right? Again, it's those engagement numbers. And while you might say, you could say I sold 10 million copies on said console, but the other console maybe sold 3 million, but the people on that console are actually spending more in microtransactions. Everything is not cut and dried. It's not a guarantee. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's just a great move. And until everything, the paint dries and we move forward, like, again, it's not just about Call of Duty. It's what did it do with the other franchises, things like World of Warcraft, things like obviously Candy Crush. And again, it's that extension into the mobile market as well. And I think that's the biggest reason they did this deal, was to give them mobile market, and it's also to kind of back off the competitors. Like you guys said, it's not just about Sony anymore. It's the Amazons and the Googles and people trying to get in this market. And, while Google sort of had a big misstep with Stadia, because I think they got ahead of the game a little too early, and they didn't have the luxury of having 20 plus years of being in the game like Xbox did in particular. They learned a lot of lessons along the way. They made their missteps, but Google just tried to jump in and be the be all to everybody and thought they were going to, get in with the subscriptions, and it didn't work out. God only knows, but other people will try. This is a billion-dollar business, almost trillion-dollar business. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. That's all I can say, man. And again, Microsoft, they don't care where they get your money as long as they're getting your money.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I actually agree. I think what we're going to see with this generation moving forward is that nothing is going to be the same. You take your traditional ideologies and kind of put them in your pocket, because things are changing. And look, I don't know how far reaching this is. You're not going to see Fable on a PlayStation, because Microsoft is keeping Call of Duty there. I don't see that happening, because they still want to lure you to the box. But something like an Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4 staying on PlayStation again. I get why people are fucking mad. I get it, but be mad for the right reasons. Fight the good fight for the good reasons, because maybe they're taking away from people that can't. Again, we people who, and this is the thing that kind of makes me scratch my head a bit. I think that sometimes we don't look past our own tip of our noses. I'm very fortunate. I have all three consoles, right? I support them all, but and again, I'm not rich, folks, not even remotely close. I'm a blue collar dude that retired, so I got to make concessions sometimes. I can't buy everything off the shelf like I used to when I was working overtime, because that's just not the way it works. But I'm fortunate enough to have all three consoles and be able to buy games for it. That's not the case for everybody. So if Call of Duty was locked behind the Xbox and you spent your, all of your, birthday money out of your underwear drawer for your PlayStation 5, what do you do? I mean, I know Microsoft gives you an unbelievable amount of options to play. You want to play on your computer, you want to play on your TV later this year. You can do that through through cloud gaming. But what if you're a traditionalist? What if I'm a console guy? Like I want the hardware underneath the TV. I'm an old cat like that. I don't think I'll ever be streaming only. Is it going to go there? Sure. But if you're not in a position to afford it, again, like Sith Lord said, I can see why people are freaking out, but I got to get to the rest of the panel. I want to get Fuzzy in on the conversation. Fuzzy, you kind of have some mixed feelings about this, and that's great. I love different opinions on it. But before we get to your mixed feelings, should we be praising these companies? Because I know they're big evil corporations and all they want is money. But I get it. I'm not a boob, but at the end of the day, this is still a big deal that these mega franchises are going to be able to be played on the opposite console, even though Sony owns Bungie now and Microsoft owns Activision.
I like how Joe used the word acknowledge. Like it praise, or at least give them their flowers for, at least making it so more people can play the games. And it really comes down to the gamers being able to access the games, but acknowledge them for it, and then keep that, oh god, I hate using this word, but keep that same energy towards them when they do other purchases down the road, or certain things that would make more sense to keep multiplat. Like I'm thinking in like long term, and I don't want to get into it too much, but it's like looking at a lot of the games that have a very good following or large player base. If you can increase that player base, even if it's just a few more million people, like something like Sea of Thieves, let's say. I mean, they reached, was it 20 or 25 million players?
25 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
25.
So
Yeah.
that's a title that, just like Joe was saying, with factions possibly being on an Xbox in the future, I could totally see something like Sea of Thieves being on, a Switch and a PlayStation. But I'll get into my
I
mixed
wouldn't be
feelings
against
later.
that. Honestly, you would see the numbers potentially double.
Yeah, I think there's a area to praise them for being able to keep players engaged, keep players happy. But at the end of the day, yeah, they're going to rake in the money. It only makes sense. It all comes down to their financial quarterly statements and things like that. So if it means they'll do the nice PR now, by all means, they're going to do it and stick by it as long as the money keeps coming in. But yeah, it's a good thing. It's a win for everybody. And for the diehard console warriors, I guess it's time to move to subscription service warriors. So,
I
but
love it. That's great.
yeah,
That's great.
Those SSWs.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't believe it.
But yeah,
this world is really out of control. We are living in bizarro land. I can take that right now.
No, but it's a win for everyone. So I'm fine with it, and I think this is, moving forward, this is what we can kind of expect in certain areas where it's like some of these big companies are going to have to, well, I won't say have to, but they should remain multi-plat for the fact that it wouldn't make sense to cut the community in half or in a, thirds or something like that. So I, yeah, they get their flowers on this one, and hopefully, everybody continues to play nice going forward.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes. But let me read a couple of super chats that have come in. The first one of the day comes to us from Sith Lord, who drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Thank you, Boom. That means a lot." Now, listen, brother, we got to give you your flowers, as of course Fuzzy just said. That was a great comment, and I thought it really kind of fell in line with the show. So, my pleasure to give it a shout out. Phoenix Mune Gaming. What's up, Phoenix, brother? How's everything? He drops a $5 super chat and says they're going to have their cake and making Warzone the main online multiplayer, multi-platform Call of Duty, and eat it too by making campaign Call of Duty Game Pass exclusive. You know what? Originally, I kind of was on that camp, and I said, after this public acknowledgement, that you got to be real careful here, because even if you get the paperwork signed, the FTC could reopen the investigation and be like, hey, listen, you lied, effers, and now we're going to block this deal, and it's going to be a nightmare. Microsoft knows what they're doing. And listen, they want it to pass, and it's going to pass. They had to do, unfortunately, a deal this big, the biggest gaming deal in the history of the world, the biggest Microsoft deal in the history of the company. Concessions have to be made. That is a reality. And I again, we have to like Pong and Steel Rain always say, take yourself back and pull yourself all the way out to an RTS view and look at the big picture. I think that's the best way I've ever heard it broken down. It's money. It's a business, right? Everborn Saga, good friend of the program, always says it's not show friends, it's show business, right? So he's certainly onto something. Crispy Bomb, I'm going to get your opinion on it. Okay, so I haven't heard what you said. I'm going to come back around to everybody because I really want to get your ramifications of Call of Duty staying multi-plat. what that means to you. Not so much the world, the world of gaming. What does it mean to you? But Crispy, I kind of want you to answer the question: should we be praising both Microsoft and Sony for coming out, facing forward and saying, "Hey, listen, take it easy. These games are staying multi-plat. Don't worry."
No.
There you go.
Without knocking out every other topic, I'm going to be very brief and just say the only praise I will give them is them destroying fanboy narratives. That is highly enjoyable to me. And I will say that, for Bungie to be purchased, that was a requirement. And for Microsoft to get this through regulatory as quickly as possible, this is a requirement. And this is going to make it, the quicker it goes through, the quicker their stock goes up even higher, the quicker everything is all hunky-dory. And to be honest, what bigger game could you have being on multiple platforms? There's no reason.
And the quicker you can make another purchase.
There you go. See, Joe, that's where I was going.
Yeah. So without continuing, because I could just knock out every topic all at once. I'm not going to do that. But definitely the only praise I give them is just destroying fanboy narratives. You should see, I was watching them. They're like little rats squealing. They're like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, come on. It was great. It was enjoyable. And, we'll get into more of what's going on here.
Yeah, we're definitely going to come back around for the second half of the topic. VJ, let's get your opinion on this, brother. You've been involved in both retail and in development in gaming. A lot of people may or may not know that. You've been a part of multiple shows with me, and we love your very detailed opinions on this. Obviously, these companies don't do things because they're good guys. They're trying to make money for their investors. That is a complete fact. But obviously, two big games, Call of Duty and Destiny, I believe stand shoulder to shoulder. Some will disagree with me on that. That's fine. We all have opinions. That's wonderful. But I think that both of these two mammoths that have a history with both PlayStation and Xbox combined, staying multi-plat is incredibly important to the industry. Do you praise Microsoft and Sony for doing this, or is this just as business as usual?
I think. Good morning, everyone. First of all, sorry I'm late. I think the business model for, and I'm just tacking on to something that Noof said. Business models for sort of major companies that produce sort of consumer-facing products. If you just look back at history, right, like any corporation, right, or any industry, categorically, they always need to sort of adapt and change, or you're not going to be in business for very long. In Xbox's case is just recently, it's a case of a huge chunk of cash reserves for, I think I said it last week, for prime beachfront property. And with that, they no need to pander or placate fans anymore. And in Sony's case, I think purchasing a little more sort of inland on a smart budget sort of mortgage basis, and it's looking at it more closely. It's definitely PlayStation cash flow proof, I would say, right? In terms of that, they probably won't even have to go to the mothership, right, to ask for funds to pay for that deal. But it's still extremely valuable, right? Some of the panel members have said, right? But the problem is that because people react to these things without thought, you can see that there's often, I don't know how to put it politely, but there's just often a lot of poison being spewed, right, in and around Twitter and social media. And look, exclusivity has its place. And that's why I had no issue with Starfield, right? New game, big budget, big risk, flagship title needed, a big win for Game Pass. It's just basic strategy, right? So, but it's and I've said it on the show before, it's an old sort of archaic business strategy that needs to be expanded upon. It has its place, and it was a major facet for Sony and Nintendo. It still is for Nintendo, but I think for Microsoft it's very different. And I think that Microsoft look at it and say it doesn't really benefit them long term. And as the panel have already said, in terms of, I think, profitability, sustainability, and more importantly, sort of global expansion. And for those idiots out there that say, "Oh no, you don't spend $70 billion to make games available on other formats," well, you know what? You don't buy a $70 billion business to only in a few years' time reduce its profitability, because that would be a mass massively
Yes.
inappropriate use of public funding, basically, and that would be a criminal offence, wouldn't it? I mean, it's just pretty basic logic, and I think you'd have to, you'd face a massive. I can't remember what the word is.
Well, I will say this, what you're referring to. If I was a board member, if I was a stockholder,
shareholders
I'd be like,
would be up in
whoa,
arms.
hold on a sec. You're talking about cutting our profits in half because you want to lock it behind a box. I don't know about that.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, Boom, you're spot on, because that's why I'm saying that the exclusive strategy is archaic, right?
Yes.
And certain companies, like I said to you, Xbox said a year ago, well, why did they make certain Bethesda games and exclusive? Well, I've explained that, right? And they were in a situation that they were in. They weren't at the time where they actually had prime real estate, right? They had like a corner of beachfront property, right? And now they own the yachting club as well. And I think that what they've done is just an extended a business invite, right, or VIP membership to Nintendo and Sony. So I don't have an issue with that. And anyway, look, the point is Xbox isn't playing along with the traditional business model. That's kind of seen that over the 18 or 24 months that I've been with you, Boom, that it's very tribalistic, and it brings out the inward sort of selfishness of fans and what they expect. And sometimes the secret is don't mind what happens. If you understand the journey, the purpose, and the goal, stick to your vision. And I think that's what Phil's doing. And if you're uncertain of what I'm portraying, right, then I would just look at these facts, right? Firstly, do any of Microsoft's other business divisions sort of preclude any software, services, device, or apps from any other company or industry segment in the world? And secondly, I don't do this as a force of habit, but I used to, because I had to write some of them. But do you read the boilerplate below every Microsoft press release, and you'll find the words to the effect of, Microsoft is committed to diversity, inclusiveness, and social responsibility, right? And thirdly, just look at Microsoft's mission statement. It's plastered everywhere, and just read the words. And if you're not sure what they mean, then go and look them up in a dictionary. They say something along the lines of, our mission is to be inclusive, empower every person, and more importantly, every organization and company on the planet, right? And so if you look at just that and don't listen to what I have to say, it's a bit of a bloody giveaway as to Microsoft's business approach and plans since over the last 20 years, right? And if you ask me, they've just taken, in the last 25 years, they spent a lot of money. They tried to place Sony and Nintendo at their own game. They can't win that. So they're going a completely different way about it. And I actually think it's incredibly refreshing. And if you remember 18 months ago, we were talking about this, or 12 or 18 months ago, I said to you, Boom, I think Phil's headed towards an all-inclusive gaming utopia. And with the acquisition of Bethesda, and then with the acquisition of Activision, and everyone talking about exclusivity, I kind of started to sort of doubt what Phil was trying to do. But I think he just bided his time, knowing as and when how to play his audience, and I think that's what he's done. He's been playing us basically, but I think, but I have to tip my hat to him, because it's exactly what I would have done, right? Because at the end of the day, it's adults making adult business decisions, right? A step towards ending division and conflict, and Game Pass being the best deal in gaming. And exclusives are not the only way to control an industry. You can be open, far more welcoming, far more profitable in the process if you play your cards right, or in this case, command and conquer if you're Phil. So that's my takeaway. Sorry to bring up an
no, dude. Listen, once again,
Electronic Art game, but in the process. But there you go. I didn't mean to sully the conversation. But
no,
anyway.
I loved it. I thought it, again, thought provoking. Look, here's the thing. And I kind of want to I want to bring this back around to everyone. Joe, I want to grab you first, because obviously we don't know how much time we have with you. Jay Rembrandt, Rembert in the chat, good friend of the show, always here supporting Double Barrel Gaming. He says something that's pretty interesting, and I think this consensus. This community is split down the middle. There is no right or wrong. You are entitled to your opinion. I may not agree with you, but I'm certainly not going to shun anyone for it. He says this, Joe. No offense to anyone, but I came to the conclusion that we're not going to see eye to eye on this matter, not until Microsoft/Xbox addresses their fans. Now, I think what he's referring to, obviously, is, why is Call of Duty he wants to know, and many people in his camp want to know why Microsoft decided to keep Call of Duty multi-plat. So
Money.
That's. I mean, I love the one word answer, Joe, but I want you to elaborate on it.
Yeah.
Is this a future? Now we're getting into the meat and the potatoes of today's show. The future of gaming has changed. It has changed right before our eyes. Some, too fast for others. For me, I like you.
That was a great headshot, by the way.
Thank you. I love this gun, by the way. This game, it's got the little X. You can't.
Same. It's my favorite gun in the game. Yeah.
I can't miss with that gun.
Same.
And look, the Jeep is still rolling. I love it. I love it. It's awesome. Joe, the scope, the field has changed right in front of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're not all going to agree that we have to like what's happening. But I think at the end of the day, we also have to be realistic that it is a business.
Yeah.
Games are becoming more expensive. Some games, like for instance, The Last of Us 2, cost more than a film in Hollywood, right? That's a fact. And we're going to start seeing that those budgets are going to balloon even more, regardless of the size of the studio, because technology is going to dictate that. These companies need to make their money. We want, as fans of Xbox, we want to pay our $15 and get the most money for it. Anyone that suggests that Game Pass in its current format isn't worth its weight in gold, I got to be honest with you, you should really evaluate what money is, because there is no better deal. I think the reason why we haven't seen Sony's answer is because when they bought Activision, and Joe, I think you made mention of this many times, I think they had to kind of refocus, like, oh, hold on a sec, man.
Yeah.
The model we have, that's not cutting the mustard. We may have to do day and date, even though we don't like it. What are your opinions to what Jay had to say?
I mean, they don't have to address anything. They've already addressed it.
Yeah.
I think what it may sound fanboyish, but just please hear me out. Please don't throw stones. I have paper skin. Is what Microsoft should have been from the get is clearly address what these acquisitions mean. Similarly to the way that PlayStation did with Bungie. They said it in the first sentence. Hey, Destiny is not going anywhere. Destiny remains multi-plat. Bam. There's no I have to decipher what desire means, right? It is just plain as day. This is a multi-plat experience. And I get why probably Microsoft isn't as definitive, because of course these are bigger acquisitions than that. But when they're like, hey, we want to make sure that the community is staying where it is, that the community is happy and, cultivated wherever they want to play. They're literally saying, we don't want to piss off this fan base enough that it already is right now. So we want money. We like money. And we're not just going to simply rip a game off of where most of the population of this game is playing on the opposite console.
Correct.
There is a difference. And I've said this multiple times, of wanting to be somewhere and having to be somewhere, right? There's a different feeling there. Microsoft wants you to be on Game Pass. They don't want you to have to be on Game Pass. They want you there, because if you're enjoying your experience, then you're going to be telling your friends all about it, rather than, yeah, they strong-armed me and I have to be here. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not a good look, just PR wise. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to talk to a fraction of an audience that, is already getting everything they want? You're getting Call of Duty for $15 a month. You're getting every Activision Blizzard thing for $15 a month. You're getting every Bethesda thing you want for $15 a month. What else do you want? Because
they're also
Phil Spencer's going to give that to you too, probably.
Now they're also
right.
Getting
you're also seeing.
I wish
you're also seeing Microsoft. Jez Corden even said it. Put more into exclusives than they ever have in the company history. So what else do they have to approach fans with? They're literally doing everything. A lot of, to me, and it's not towards this question, but a lot of, when I hear people go, oh, Xbox can't do anything right in the eyes of the media, I always feel like Xbox can't do right by its it seems like,
A lot of
ever
it's
do right by
fans.
its fans.
Yeah,
Because
dude.
it's like, whatever it is, it's not good enough, or it's not, it's not savage enough. To me, it's really about Microsoft evaluating, and the bean counters have said it, right? I may think differently, but a team of accountants literally looked at the optics going, we can't just simply rip this off a platform like we could with Elder Scrolls. We can't simply rip the Band-Aid off of this like we could with Fallout, right? The bean counters have looked at it, and they've literally said, math is proven, we can't do this. So what I would like Xbox to be in the future with their next acquisition, whatever it may be and whatever size it may be, is clearly state in that first paragraph, what are your intentions, right? Because if, let's just say, you have a daughter, she's going to prom, you see your partner there, you're going to ask them, hey, what's your intentions with my daughter? And if they're like, yeah, so we have the desire to just go out there, have a good time, have
Someone's getting their
bowl.
head ripped off.
Yeah, I have a strong commitment of treating your daughter, No, it's like, what are your intentions? Sir, right? I'm just going to take her to the dance and I'm going to bring her right home. That's what you want. That's what you want to hear. That's I feel like where the frustration really lies, is that Microsoft has to play, especially with this acquisition, word chess.
Yes.
Because again, this isn't a Bethesda level deal. This is one of the biggest acquisitions, not just of video game history, but of history. Mm-hmm. And they have to word it so particular, because this may not be a monopoly, but I implore everybody to go to Hoag's video. But the argument may be of greed, right? Mm-hmm. That a lawyer could say. So please understand that this is good for you. You're getting literally everything. If let's hope this goes through, because we don't want this owned by Tencent, that you're getting everything you want. Who gives a shit if a PlayStation person could play it? Yeah, who cares? If you're getting it for $15, just like the argument that we've had for years now, when it comes to PC on PlayStation, remember our old adage, yes. Who cares if someone else gets to enjoy the thing you're enjoying? If another person, that's the same energy I'm having here. Who cares? You're getting it I'm getting it for $15. We're getting it for $15, right? So that's the thing where I think we're missing. I don't think they communicated to the fans, this is what this is. I definitely feel like it's just a little bit more, not to say transparency, but
that's how it wins.
Because this deal isn't done yet. Legally, they can't say as much as they want to say. That's going to come. Listen,
and
when the deal
what they
signed,
do have to say, they have to say it with, exact almost certainty, right? Like they have to be so carefully crafting each thing, because they don't want to look like the bad guy. Yeah. And so to me, that's what this really is at the end of the day.
The world does not need another Palpatine, Joe. Okay?
Exactly. It is what it is, man. You're still getting all the stuff you want.
It's a smorgasbord of games. Noof, I got to bring you in the conversation, but I want you, BFG, who's a good friend of the show, always in the chat. Want to thank you for being here. Want to thank you for making this comment. This is what he had to say. And I want you to attack this. Attack, just basically answer the comment. He says this, and he brings up a great point. The problem here is that when Sony money hats a third-party game, and dozens of them, he has in quotes, they don't care about Xbox players and what they get to play. But now Microsoft buys studios and IPs, and they should care. But see, and he's on to something with that. There is no doubt about it. But here is my rebuttal to that. The reason why you see Sony doing that isn't because they're pricks. They do not have an answer to Game Pass. They have to figure out a way to get you to buy a PlayStation.
Most of those games are going to Xbox after. It's timed exclusivity. Most of those games are going to be there. I'm sorry. This one kind of triggered me a little bit. Most of those games are going to be there. Right. And then at the same exact time, what is Final Fantasy to $70 billion? You tell me. What's a bigger deal? Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 6, whatever the goddamn number is. Yeah, or $68 billion.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna
then
be
we can see why
75 once the
that's
deal
not
is
apples
officially
to
done. Yeah.
that's not apples to apples. That's apples to oranges.
It's apples to
Exactly.
really bananas,
Yeah.
if you want my
Yeah.
honest opinion. But Noof,
Yeah.
please, by all means, give us your opinion on this, because you're always raw, uncut, and we love it.
Well, look, it's like I said, man, it's Xbox is all in on Game Pass, right? This is a huge boost for them. And the bottom line is, and I think Joe alluded to it, is would you rather at the end of the day, especially like I said, the hardcore fans are going to continue to play Call of Duty wherever they're most comfortable, right? But especially when you walk into a store, a lot of the casuals who keep Call of Duty at number one every single year, you know, when that marketing comes out and you see play Call of Duty for this much a month, or you can basically play it for, you know, your full 70, 80, 90 bucks, whichever country you live in, you know, that's going to be paramount. That's going to be that's a big marketing thing. Plus, for the first time in years, you're going to see a lot of Xbox consoles come out with on the package Call of Duty, right? Home on Xbox, something like that. And those little things make a huge difference. And don't tell me that they don't, because boy, you know, you walk in and you see that plastered everywhere. You see commercials that constantly say it, that, you know, it's all about perception. It's not about the reality. It's about the perception of where you can play it. And you're right, Boom. The thing is, right now, Sony doesn't have the exact answer as Game Pass. You know, they're pulling at that string. They're starting to dangle the carrot. Jim Ryan and the company knows that in order to stay feasible, to really step up in the terms of, like I said, with the bean counters, they got to do more than just single player exclusives, which again do great numbers and they help sell those consoles. It's a great console seller. We get that. It helps you move boxes, but the boxes don't move Sony's bank account. This is the thing. It's just a thing.
Great point there, Noob. Great
That's
point.
the problem. That's the problem. Like they're going, that's great. But you know what? Even when you're limited to 120 million consoles and you're still, 20 million sales is nothing to balk at. That's amazing, right? But you still, when you look at the fact that you're selling 120 million consoles and you're only hitting a fraction with your best games, your biggest and brightest, this is not a 50% adoption rate. This is like, 10, 15%. And that's what your biggest and brightest games. And those are the kind of games that take 4 or 5 million to develop. These are the kind of games that take $200 million to make, and massive teams, right? This is the thing. We saw in the past, what happened in the past generations when games tanked, right? What was the biggest thing you saw? Companies went under. Studios got bought out, all of their talent dissolved. That's another thing that Xbox is trying to mitigate here, is when they're getting all of these studios, they're basically giving them a safety blanket. I'm not saying it can't happen, but because Game Pass is going to thrive on content, it would be counterproductive to be like, yeah, your game wasn't a huge hit for us, so let's just get rid of you guys. No, they're like, well, your game might flop. Well, guess what? Maybe one of our other companies, one of our many other studios is going to have a massive hit that can sort of offset each game's successes, so to speak, right? Yes. The eyes are not always going to be on 343. They're not always going to be on Coalition now to save the boat, so to speak. You're not waiting on your superstars to come in and pull the ship up every single time, because now you've got so many that guaranteed, as I said, you're going to have a few misses, but you're going to have a lot more successes. And success, again, is all in the way that we look at it. Because if you look at, some people might say, well, that game, it's only sold so many copies. But if you look at numbers, and I think you had it in your headline too, like you look at the engagement numbers, you look at how many people are playing. Something like, some people might look at Sea of Thieves and go, well, that game is absolute trash and nobody plays it and blah, blah, blah. But you can't balk at the fact that there's 18, 20 million people. There's hundreds of thousands playing this game every day.
Like me.
Popular game. Yeah, it's a popular game on Twitch. It's a streaming game. These are things you got to look at too. It's outside revenue. And Call of Duty, what's Call of Duty associated with outside of an exclusive or whatever? It's associated with MLG. It's one of the biggest MLG games on the planet. And just having it front row and center, and probably most likely at this point, every time you see an MLG event, guess what you're going to see with it? Xbox marketing, Game Pass marketing, all over the place. It's going to be in movies. It's going to be on the big screens. It's going to be everywhere. Eventually, you're not going to get away from Game Pass. And I don't want to be up here tooting the horn. You guys know me, how I was a hard sell on Game Pass.
Yes, for years. So if he's saying this, folks,
that proves a point to you. If an old fart like me finally came around with Game Pass, because eventually I could not ignore its value. I couldn't
Yes.
not ignore the games they were bringing. What does that tell you? And that's what brought me in. When you go, oh, well, this year alone, we got Starfield, we got this game, we got that game, we got something else, and I'm adding it up in my head and doing the math, right? And I'm on a tight budget. Well, that's like 9 or 10 games that would have costed me easily in the hundreds, and I can play them
especially because you're in Canada. Also,
Yeah, for
people,
$90 a piece, and that's the starting rate. Okay,
Yes.
$90 a piece here in Canada before tax. If you're in Mag's territory, heck, you're playing about $110 a game. That's insane. Right, so add up 5 of those games, you got a console right there, baby. That's nuts. So it's the bigger picture. The thing is, gamers sometimes are too narrow-minded. They're just thinking about the here and the now. But what this does is ensures the future longevity of the studios, the franchises, and as well, you get all of those games now. Like the biggest thing, my concern for the thing is not where Call of Duty ends up. My thing is, will Xbox step aside and look at their teams and say, you know what, guys, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, we no longer want you to build a game every year. We just want you to make a great game, because honestly, I think right now they can keep Warzone going successively and keep the player counts going, and they can let those studios breathe a little bit and say, we no longer want you to pump out a game in 16 months and just make it another has-been. We want you to make a great game. We want you to bring this franchise back to when people used to talk about it, like back in the original Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 era, when the campaigns were truly remarkable. I know it's a little different because there's so many games and so many great campaigns now. I think that's part of the reason, like, everything gets lost in the shuffle. You become another shooter, but they have tons of talent, tons of potential. And the thing is, with that franchise, more than any other, has the recipe for success. They've never strayed away from it, despite the fact that their games are sort of different from each other, but they always have that recipe. And as we've seen with Crossfire, man, if you don't have the smooth controls, if you don't have the game that just grabs you, it's going to die quickly. Call of Duty isn't going anywhere. It's going to be around a long time. Love it or hate it, that's the fact. But that is my thoughts on that. I can't make it any clearer. This is about the longevity of Game Pass. Sony is struggling to keep up. They realize that, they can't bank on Spider-Man, because even maybe you could if you had a Spider-Man game every year, but if you're going to have them every 3, 4, 5 years, that's a long gap, and you got to supply that with something else in between. Game Pass, as you're already seeing, has got tons of games coming in the pipe, and pretty soon we're going to see a glut. We're going to be looking at these guys going, can you guys slow the frig down?
Yes.
Well, real talk news. That's an excellent point. That, like, first off, y'all got to stop focusing on what Sony's doing or what Sony's done or like whatever. Sony's going to do what Sony. Focus on yourself. Focus on what the company that you prefer, the console you prefer, is doing for you. If you're focusing on what PlayStation's doing for you, well, damn, it seems like you're pretty fixated on that. Focus on what Microsoft's doing and demand better, or cheer on when they're doing something right. But what you said is so accurate, because look at what Sony just posted, right? Mm-hmm. Horizon Zero Dawn, 20 million. God of War, over 20 million.
Yes.
Miles Morales, over 20 million. Yep. Spider-Man, over 20 million units.
Love it. Love to see it.
400 million units right there. And they're just like, yeah, we need content. We need more.
And they understand that, and that's why they quote unquote money hat games. Like, listen, you don't think
that's why we're getting the Spartacus, because we understand. Or not we, sorry, I need to distance again, corporations don't give a shit if I live or die. They understand what the 5-year goal is.
Yes.
Is to get a competitor to Game Pass and to get subscriptions and to get you hooked.
Look at Netflix. As soon as those Disney and the Marvel shows went from Netflix, did Netflix wither and die? No, they started producing more of their own content. Now they got shows coming out the yin yang.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, Joe Noof, my God, what incredible takes and points. Thank you for that, Crispy Bomb. Crispy, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do because I write these shows, and of course, my show that I wrote went completely off the rails because we've had so many great comments from people. Now, Max City Entertainment, or ENT in the chat, he says something that's very interesting, and I kind of want you to give your opinion on it. And of course, give us your opinion on the whole, Call of Duty is on PlayStation. He says this, and this is pretty interesting. I'm no longer supporting Call of Duty or Xbox any longer. Us bots held the line. This is how we got, and this is how we get treated. It's BS, and bots should not be damage controlling this.
Wait, 1 sec. I'm sorry. I have to cut it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Was this someone in your chat?
Yes.
Wow.
Like right now?
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, you need to reevaluate your fucking life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the curse. I'm so sorry. Take a step back. It is a company that, again, Phil Spencer does not know who you are, no matter how many times you at him on Twitter. Whoa, that's alarming. Us bots hold the line. Don't be proud of that. That's weird. That's a weird energy
The first
that guy
thing
has.
I want to say is that I definitely front against bots and ponies. I
don't like that.
I find
It's
that
weird.
to be derogatory in my opinion. I
Sure.
don't hate you. I'm not hating on it. I like the question. I like what you're saying, but Crispy, this is a sentiment that's starting to come across not just my timeline. I've seen this in quite a many people, not just in the chat. But like I said yesterday, I was really shocked. Like it was split decision. Half the people were like, "Boom, we hear you." Other people were like, "Boom, I think you're wrong," and I'm okay with that. I listen. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Is Call of Duty staying on PlayStation that divisive?
I don't even know what to say to that. Like that cringe face gif right there is really like, dude, like they don't care about you. It is a company. They are $1 trillion company. They're going to do whatever they want. Now, if you really think that this doesn't have something to do with the FTC getting involved and all these other things that could transpire, you are dead wrong, because this is an easy play. They could be looking at another company to purchase, and they are like, you know what? We got to get this through ASAP. And you got the FTC, and not what? Basically a week later, a little less than that, all of a sudden you see this. I mean, it's not a coincidence, okay? And you got to realize that they have to, report these things to their investors. So these comments will be held accountable, okay? Because these comments are something that the investors are looking at and saying, okay, now this could potentially get them more investments or less investments depending on how you feel about it. But to get that into it, it's like telling me that Minecraft doesn't deserve to be on every console.
Crispy, he sounds like he's holding the line, right? He's on the front.
You want to know somebody holding the line? I'm sitting right here, okay? And I'll tell you right now, it doesn't start with thought process like that. You got to look at people's opinions, and you got to say, is that logical or not? And at this point, they're pushing Sony to do things that they don't want to do, okay? But at the same time, for Sony to be so open-minded and saying, we'll do this with Bungie because we need their expertise, and we need to get into this games as a service model. We need to have content in our newly formed Spartacus. We need to do these things. Okay. You could think whatever you want. It is one game. Okay. Unless Game Pass goes on PlayStation, you ain't seeing Halo there. You ain't seeing Gears there. I don't know why people think like this. And I want to make up one more point here. Remember when Phil said, we're going to release this on PC? There's a certain few people, especially one, going to leave it nameless, that went at Phil and said, I'm not supporting this anymore. And what did he say? So you're mad about people enjoying games, that you can play anyway, in out of context, but that's basically what he said.
Yes.
And he got destroyed. Okay. So, your comment just doesn't make any sense. All right. You can't sit there and say Call of Duty is not such a huge IP that, Microsoft ain't going to make money off it and make great games at the same time because of the money they make off of it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's
this isn't the beaches of Normandy.
So just take a step back. If you don't want to play I don't want to play with you if you're going to act like that. I'll tell you that much. So, I all I have is my Series X sitting in front of me. I have nothing else that's hooked up. Haven't touched PlayStation. There's a PlayStation 4 upstairs. None of us touch it. We have no interest in it, and that's because we play primarily multiplayer. So if you're gonna go to PlayStation, go to PlayStation. I got no problem with it, but don't sit there and act like you're speaking for everyone. I think that's just asinine.
I mean, listen, I can't argue. I can't argue the point.
I have changed my name. Have you seen my name?
Oh yeah, Mr. I love
Mr. Ponybot.
Mr. Ponybot. How you
That's
doing
right.
there, brother? Welcome to the show. I love
Nothing
it.
much.
Great.
Nothing much.
Fuzzy, listen, obviously you have some feelings. I don't have a particular message to because again, folks, this is not me being a D-bag and throwing people under the bus. I think their questions or their comments are worthy of a conversation for sure. Before I get to you, I just got to thank a couple of people. Bold Alpha Wolfpack. Oh, I love the name. He says, drops a $5 super chat and says, one thing are the ones who have digital copies and a physical copy. Physical don't lose out, and they keep the microtransactions up until the next Call of Duty is made. Yeah, that's standard fare with these companies, specifically with Activision. They made so much money in micro. I think it was last year, just if you didn't know and you wanted, if you ever kind of want to just kind of put a number to how much money they make on these transactions, last year, Call of Duty Warzone across all platforms made $5.1 billion with a B last year in microtransactions. So yeah, that's going to continue, and that's why Call of Duty is going to stay on multiple systems, because you'd be a knucklehead to try and take that money away from your investors. They wouldn't be able to do it. Oh wait, he drops an additional bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $5 super chat. Well, thank you, brother, for the generosity. He says, when the deal goes through, Xbox needs to go for the juggler. Call of Duty sales more on PlayStation consoles than anything else. Guess where those sales go if Call of Duty is exclusive? Yeah, but that's the thing.
Because you have to, or because you want to, means a lot to folks. I understand that mentality, but going for the jugular and acting like, you're going to kill PlayStation or whatever, I don't like that logic. I don't like that. You're when people like, Xbox needs to kill PlayStation. Well, what you're essentially saying is that thousands of people need to be unemployed, is what you're saying, right?
Yes. Yeah.
When competition's healthy and people are competing healthy, everybody's winning. Again, when you say go for the jugular, what does it matter to you if someone is playing on PlayStation versus you are playing it for $15?
Yeah,
versus the 70.
You know what, Joe?
I think that's a win.
No, I think it is. Fuzzy, I want to bring Joe. That's a great point, and I want you to elaborate it on, Fuzzy, because the us versus them thing, I don't think that's going away. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but people have to understand that what moved the needle for Sony last gen, why they won last gen, was because of the normies, the casual audience, right? That's a fact. That's not a boom theory. That's an absolute fact. 80% of the 116 current million consoles that Sony has out there are repeat buyers. Like my brother and I, we're good for 8 PlayStation 4s in that generation. We both got the original PS4. We got the upgrade. We bought the Destiny version. Then, of course, we got the Pro, and then I got the God of War Pro, and he got another Pro. So we're by ourselves. We're good for 8, just the two of us, right? So you're going to see a lot of repeat buys because I have 2 Series X. I got a Series S. I have multiple consoles, and I only have one apartment, right? So the big selling point that won Sony the generation last year was price and power, right? The normies saw that the Xbox was $100 more and that the PlayStation had Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon and games that they might want to play, right? And it was the cool system. It was the in system. It was the system that people talked about at the water cooler. Well, you have to suspect, and I don't think this is a bit of a stretch, me being an Xbox first dude. You have to suspect that at some point the conversation is going to move it. Well, I can't afford to buy $76, $43 games anymore because I have to put my child through school, or I have to pay my phone bill, or I have to pay the rent for my flat. That's the conversation that a lot of us are forgetting about. And when you look at Microsoft, who has positioned little man, meaning the Series S, to be that impulsive buy, it's going to be $250 this fall. And when it's $250, it's going to come with a little card that says Xbox Game Pass 3 months for $1. And if your mom and pop, if your grandma, your grandpa, or you're someone that hasn't been into gaming for a while because you can't afford it, you're going to look at that and you say Xbox $250. Wow. And Game Pass, look at all these games. Call of Duty? Are you kidding me? And they're going to go and they're going to buy that console. So what are your thoughts on exactly what Joe said, Fuzzy? 15 a month versus $76.43 here in New York for Call of Duty by itself, or $15 and 500 games?
No, the $15 a month is clearly the preferred way to go. Especially like, well, I'll start off with the mixed feelings thing, because being an old Sega fan, and watching the battle between Sega and Nintendo, and Sega kind of falling off, but it was them tripping over their own feet type of thing. There was a small piece of me, like the inner fanboy, kind of like a Frosted Mini Wheats commercial kind of thing. It was like,
I love it. That's great. That's awesome.
Like, I looked at it as where the games not being exclusive, it was like, oh, this kind of sucks. But the adult in me is like, yeah, I could either, pay $70 or play it on Game Pass. So I never have to spend the $70 again. But yeah, there's a little bit of it that was like, I wanted it to be exclusive, at least for the main line. The Warzone, I totally understood, because that makes financial sense. But more of that inner fanboy part was just the matter of not to kill Sony, because I don't want them to kill Sony. I do want them to put, not necessarily the boot on the neck, but a little bit more pressure, so they have to get more creative in things that they do, or maybe not be the a-hole sometimes with, keeping things away from the Xbox ecosystem. But I have to step back, being the adult that I am, and having both consoles and having a PC. Yeah, it sucks that Street Fighter's not on Xbox, but I do have my PlayStation there with Street Fighter already on it, so I still have access to the game. Now, I consider myself fortunate. I know not everyone is going to be able to swing having both consoles or PC or all those combinations. So by this whole deal with Call of Duty remaining there, for the PlayStation guys that were never going to buy an Xbox and probably still won't buy an Xbox, or probably would buy it begrudgingly, like kind of like Mr. Badbit said earlier, it's like, if you're forced over there, not saying that that's going to make for a toxic relationship within the ecosystem, but when you force somebody there, they're not necessarily going to be that long-term customer. So you may see the engagement fall off where, oh yeah, you get this influx of everybody that, jump ship type of thing. And then it wanes away. And then everybody's like, well, I'll just get my Nintendo Switch. And then, both parties lose at that point. Well, not the Nintendo, obviously, but it's I don't know. I just look at it as, yeah, it would have been nice if Microsoft did that. And I look at it as a big W for Microsoft, a little bit of an L for Xbox. And that's just, like I said, the inner fanboy in me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Game Pass subscribers, they're the ones that get the ultimate W, because, like I said, you don't have to spend the $70 anymore. That was Activision being one of those companies where they did increase the price. That's a non-starter anymore. Yes, PlayStation is still going to have their premium experience for $10 more. I don't have to worry about that, except for the games that I specifically want. But most of the time, if push comes to shove, it's either wait for a sale or, being a PS Plus subscriber, some of their games will have that discount on like pre-ordering and stuff like that. But, I think everybody, and this is why I joked about, go from console warrior to subscription service warrior, is that the Game Pass model is the thing moving forward. Everybody just needs to look at the bigger picture, and it's like, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, we don't have that, fanboy list to beat our chests about. Oh well, but at least we're not spending the full price right off the bat, because also if you and not to get into the, oh, you guys don't buy games, at least we get the discount if we do decide to buy the game. So I don't know. I just look at it as the console war stuff. It's silly. The subscription service stuff is silly as far as arguing, but we should put more pressure on these companies to keep us satisfied as far as content, the games themselves. When they're not like one thing I do want to say, like with Nintendo, they just had their direct, made a lot of their fan base really excited for things that they showed there.
Oh yes, I was very excited.
When is Xbox going to do something similar? Are we going to wait until something like an E3? You already had a state of play earlier this year.
Yeah, well, actually, it's funny you should even mention that because I'm literally writing the show for Tuesday's Xbox Factor podcast, and that actually is going to lead the story as to, as a matter of fact, Miles Dompierre of Windows Central, me and him are good friends. We've been talking back and forth, and we're going to get him on one of the upcoming primetime gamings in a couple of weeks. He had put out a tweet regarding that exact point, and I'm going to use it as a talking point for Tuesday's show because I think you're onto something. He said something in his tweet. I don't have it in front of me, and I'll reiterate it on Tuesday's show that like Microsoft, not Microsoft, Nintendo sells hope to their fans, right? They show us a little bit far out of what's coming, and they show us what's coming up front, and it's something that we've seen Sony do numerous times. I would love to see. I don't want the standard Xbox shows to come back like they were because I thought they were very cringy. They they weren't good. Let's just say
those
that.
4-hour Lord of the Rings size ones.
Escape from Panic Room.
That was awful. That was awful. But again, we're not gonna harp on that. Those were terrible. I don't want to see those come back. I want to see a 55 minute 55-minute show come in. You give us some meat and potatoes. You show us something that's coming. A couple of a little bit out, and then you end it. You know what I'm saying? You give us some stuff coming to Game Pass. You show us a couple of indie things in there. You get us one big surprise. Hey, guess what's coming? Here's a trailer for Avowed, and you shock the world, and you get people excited for Avowed that isn't coming out for a couple of years, but we also know that's something that's coming into Game Pass next month, and we're even more excited. That's what I want. But continue.
Yeah. No, that's I would say instead of I guess getting on Twitter and going all emotional about stuff, just direct the energy towards your console of preference and just say, hey, what's the roadmap look like for the next couple of months type of thing, because there are things that are announced, but there are also some things that it's like, well, is there anything else? And I know we've gotten used to like the weekly announcements, like, oh, this just dropped into Game Pass, but sometimes you want a little bit better forecasting for maybe that next big hit type of thing, or something along those lines.
And Fuzzy, if I could, and I gotta head on out. Instead of maybe holding the front line with your fellow bots, maybe you lay down your weapons and we play games that we enjoy, and
how about hugging
shout
it
out
out?
the
Let's
developers.
hug it out.
Shout out the developers who work so effortlessly, effortlessly, so hard on these titles. Each and every one of them, congratulate them. Those are the people that are making the magic, right? Yeah. These are the people that are creating the worlds that you're going to get lost in. These are the people that are going to be making those memorable moments. And the reasons why you have such a fondness for Xbox is not really because of Phil Spencer, but more because of the thousands of people that work so tirelessly on crafting those experiences. And that's the people we gotta be celebrating. Go reach out. Developers tell this to me all the time. There is no type of serotonin hit better than when someone beats a game, shares the credits, and thanks the team. There's nothing better than that. That's what we got to get back to. None of this armchair salesman stuff. Appreciate the people that are making your experiences. That said, Boom. I'm so happy to be the villain this episode. We're always I'm too chummy on this show. I gotta, But listen,
an F-bomb every now and again is good. It kind of makes the feathers get like we're alive. But listen, Joe, always a pleasure, brother. Please, of course. If you're not a fan of Joe, you probably should be, because he does run an amazing show with his best friend Kyle. It's on all of your favorite RSS feeds. It's also on YouTube. It is the Trophy Room. They do it once per week. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. There's no better PlayStation show than this gentleman right here. Thank you so much, Joe. Enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
Likewise. See you guys.
You keep it real, Joe. Thanks for that, brother.
Okay, so VJ, you have a lot to get into here, because I know
Yeah.
that you're going to have some masterful opinion. But let me catch up with some of the super chats. There's been quite a few of them. Keo Walker, good friend of the show, he drops a $5 super chat and says, "Welcome back, King of Fighters, to the Xbox platform." Yes, that is a day one purchase for me. I'm so excited. Love KOF. Has been a fan since the Sega, not the Dreamcast, the Saturn days, when it used to come out on the Saturn. He says, hopefully we'll see more fighters return to the platform. Indeed, I hope SNK starts bringing, because if you remember, they had Samurai Showdown a couple of years ago release, and that was awesome. We also have, let's see, Louis Augustus, generous friend of the show. He drops a $5 super chat, and he says this: Sony straight up tried to kill Xbox not 6 months ago, but now we got to act like everything is okay. Xbox has to take the high road. Why? I think they have to take the high road because it's business, and this is a big deal. But I hear you. We also have Argato Sir drops a $5 super chat and says, Microsoft has gotten in trouble in the past for being a monopoly in software and paid dearly. They don't want that to make that same mistake again. Love the show. Well, thank you, brother. And you are absolutely correct. The 90s Microsoft were scumbags. That is the truth. And that's why they had a bad reputation for years. And since Satya Nadella took over, and since Microsoft has positioned Phil Spencer as one of the major leaders in that Xbox team, well, we've seen a transition from SB Microsoft to inclusive Microsoft. And quite frankly, I like the inclusive Microsoft, but I'm an inclusive kind of a dude. Bold Alpha Wolfpack drops an additional $5 super chat and says, so PlayStation doesn't try to run Xbox over with their exclusives. Sounds a bit biased to me, Mr. Ponybot. I own a PlayStation 5 for God of War 2018. That's the point. Again, dude, Sony has done some questionable things, but it's a business. I don't hate them for it. I'd rather play Final Fantasy VII on my Xbox. I'm gonna be honest with you. Is that gonna happen? Probably not. Knights of the Old Republic. I'm such a stand for that game that when it comes out and when they release a collector's edition, I'm probably buying it on PlayStation, because I don't want to wait for however long Sony locked up that deal. Is it right? No. It's not right, but I will tell you that this Activision deal certainly levels the playing field into these 2 and 3 year exclusives. I think Microsoft could position themselves like, hey, you keep killing us with these exclusives. Yeah. Maybe that's a bargaining chip for Call of Duty. I honestly don't know, but we will obviously find out. We have the brightest sun dropping a £5 super chat. Thank you for the generosity. He says, in the past, in the post, they commented to keep the games available in the future after the contracts expire. They just don't want to remove released games from the store. Yes, yeah. If you read it for what it is, that's exactly what they say. So same thing with Bethesda. They weren't pulling anything off of the PlayStation Store. That makes good business sense. Kevin S drops a $5 super chat. Thank you for the generosity, Kevin. He says, thoughts on GTA 6 back in Vice City 2024-2025. Vice City, yes, thank goodness. I want to return to Paradise City. If you're a Guns N' Roses fan, you know what I'm talking about. That was my favorite GTA. I loved Vice City, and I think 2025, to be honest. Let's see, who else do we have here? Are we up to date? Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, we're up to date. Okay, so VJ, let's get you in on this opinion over here. There's a lot to dig through. You've heard everyone's word, so I'm not going to propose a question. You obviously know what we're talking about. Yeah. There is a lot of emotion. I mean, some heavy emotion, and it's not that people are wrong. You are allowed to feel how you want to feel. I would never tell anyone otherwise. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, first of all, you shouldn't allow external factors in your life to determine how you feel inside. That's just moronic. And and if they don't teach you that at school, and if your parents don't teach you that, there's something fundamentally wrong with society, and you can see it before your eyes, right? In many facets of society, it's disintegrating. Mm-hmm. It's been disintegrating for decades. But I won't go into that. Let's stick to gaming. So I'm just going to sort of echo or elaborate on what has already been said by the panel, because they've really been on their game. They've really put pressure on me today going last. But look, if you're pining with a petted lip for exclusivity, and petted lip just means, you know, sulking, you're a self-serving entitled moron. You know, no one can help you. Some denounce or have denounced Sony, right, consistently, right, for Sony for like for practices, right, such as these in terms of exclusivity and so on and so forth. And the thing is they do it with some sort of misguided, sort of inflamed desire for Xbox to, you know, get games and retaliate in the same way. But I guess the issue that I've got with that isn't that the sort of absolute personification of the pot calling the kettle black, and what do we teach sort of young children, right? Or perhaps they don't anymore. Two wrongs don't make a right, and learn to share. And Xbox are doing so since it makes money, and Sony are doing so again partly because of the price they're paying, how they're paying for the acquisition, and because it's Bungie. And there is no, not that I can see, and it is early in the morning, so please forgive me. My brain's not fully functioning. I don't think the glycogen's quite reached there. There's no common sense or morality to what some gaming fans want, and it definitely doesn't make any business sense. I think we can agree to that. And forgive me if I'm repeating what I said earlier. I'm not thinking clearly, but if you think that morals trump business ethics, you're not living in the real world. If you want to argue sort of morality, business, and strategy, as I said before, right, the misappropriation of $70 billion whilst operating the largest public company, or be sitting behind the desk of the largest public company in the world, I'm assuming that's true, i.e., you know, misappropriating public funds, that will be criminal. Again, you know, buying a company with what, 40% of cash reserves only to reduce its profitability for what exactly? So gamers can scratch a long sort of historical itch for justice. It's just really sad, terrible, entitled, and immature behavior as far as I can see. But from a business perspective, with Phil and now with AB and K, not only do they own a major chunk of gaming real estate, but they see objective sense and value in inviting Nintendo and Sony, right, as VIP members to the said club. I still think that Phil sees the I think synonymous and the synergistic values that they both bring are invaluable to Xbox for the next 10 years. And if I'm Phil, and I'm not Phil, obviously, I'm just saying if I was, right, in a parallel universe, my position as a gaming force is incredibly strong now, right? Because this deal will go through. I no longer have to pander or be political or placate fans anymore. I see Sony and Nintendo as Microsoft once saw Apple as a beneficial preferred partner with benefits to keep things balanced and with so much more profitability at hand, right? And the positive connotations, right, in the industry and, you know, and in terms of developing the human race. It's a partnership that brings all of this to the table, right? And to Newf's marketing point, which is such an underrated point, but it's incredibly important and it's misunderstood sometimes, and sometimes just, you know, given a whimsical look, right? The Asian market for video games is going to be worth, I don't know, between around 150 billion alone, right, in the next 2 to 3 years, right? And Xbox don't have a firm foothold there. It's going to take a long time. So through Nintendo and Sony, they can own some of that by proxy, because they're not a third-party owner of this content. They own the company, right? You need to get that through your mind, right, and understand that clearly. And Nintendo and Sony will always have home advantage when it comes to purchasing Japanese gaming companies. So I think it's a really smart move by Phil. Mm-hmm. And just a few final thoughts, right? Sony and Nintendo will follow suit in some guys, as Mr. Badbit was saying, if it's deemed more profitable, but more importantly, sustainable for those guys, because they don't have the ability to write off their gaming divisions like Microsoft can, right? I'm assuming it's still in single digits, right, in terms of all the other divisions, still at 9 or 10%, right, in terms of the value of the company, or in terms of revenue contribution, sorry. So, and I've said this before, those that lead, and in this case Xbox, provide guidance for those that follow, right? Because Microsoft have always been the big fish, right? And they've just been dabbling in this industry. It's just that the economics today and tomorrow make far more sense than when they entered the industry into 2020 or prior to that, when they were developing the first the OG Xbox. To your point, Boom, of 5 billion in microtransactions, Sony for PlayStation 5 is arguably, you can say that, given the trajectory of PS5 sales, they're going to have a software tie ratio of 1.2 to 1.5 billion, right? If I'm Phil, with at least all the Bethesda stuff that I've got on hand and Activision, I want to think about how can I retain and cement 20% of that future business, right? And how can we firmly keep Sony in our sights, right? A bit like when EA, when Ubisoft were climbing up the ranks, right? And EA stepped in and bought a 20% stake. I'm not sure if that's still the case. That was about 20 years ago. So from Sony alone, with all the software sales over the next 7 years, right? Because you've got to stop thinking about the past. You've got to think about opportunity, and you've got to think about the future, and you've got to think about profitability and sustainability, right? So with all the software sales over the next 7 years or 10 years, I don't know what the lifespan of these consoles is going to be. And not just Call of Duty, Boom, and plus the microtransactions, right? I've done a quick calculation in my head. You've got to be talking $12 to $15 billion in revenue just from Sony, right? And that's after platform fees, right? And secondly, I don't think Phil wants to increase the price of Game Pass. And this is to Fuzzy's point, what he was saying. So I'm kind of tacking on to what he's saying. Doesn't want to increase the price of Game Pass. And we don't want to see an increase in Game Pass just yet anyway, right? Revenues from Sony and Nintendo help him place popular A, B, and K games. I'm not sure if the new releases for Call of Duty are going to be day and date, because it's not clear yet. But let's assume they are, right? So you can place all the previous content and new content from A, B, and K into Game Pass at no additional cost for current subscribers, perhaps for the next 2 to 3 years. And it's a win-win, as Fuzzy was saying, for everyone. And it just makes such logical sense. And I'm nearly finished, so just in case you're getting bored. Not at all. There will be some discussing these, and there are, Boom. You're absolutely right, there are. And I make the mistake of going onto Twitter just before a show so I can just kind of get a lay of the land, and I end up throwing up. There will be some discussing the implications and ramifications, all while sort of bathing in some sort of misguided disappointment towards all of this, right? These guys, and I'm talking about Xbox and Sony and all of this, these guys are 9 to 12 months ahead of us in terms of managing public perception. They've already calculated how long the fans will carry on whining before they come around to the new, more inclusive normal, shall I call it, right? Yeah. And can I say this? Oscar, and this is to something that Mr. Badbit was saying in terms of developers that just caught my fancy, as you would say, and before everybody wets their bacon counter in the chat and in the audience. Can I just say this? Ask a hypothetical question to any developer. Given the close proximity in terms of technical prowess of PS5, Xbox, PC, or whatever you game on, it doesn't matter, right? And whatever Nintendo's sort of coming up with next, right? And would they want more people to play their games if funding wasn't an issue, if platform exclusive wasn't an issue, but the caveat being profitability to the studio would remain the same, right? So, and I would say, don't take my word for it. Go and ask Corey, right, when he teased like 3 years ago or something, saying, "Oh, well, this game should come, God of War should come to PC," right? And ask Hideo Kojima, right, and then many, many, many others, right? And look, you don't have to take my word for it. You shouldn't take my word for it. You should just go there and investigate everything for yourself. But anyway, I'm up against the wall now, so feel free to open fire.
No, not at all. I think you're onto some heavy points there. First of all, I want to welcome in Dreadpool. Dreadpool, my brother, welcome to the program. You're coming in hot, and we're gonna hopefully you drop it like it's hot. But before we get to you, Dread, I want to just grab a couple of super chats. The first one, wow, Bold Wolf Alpha Pack. Thank you so much for the extreme generosity today. He drops an additional $10 super chat, and he says, VJ, don't you understand that Sony's exclusives are what got them ahead of Microsoft in sales last generation? It's not about, I'm not sure if this is he says spit. I don't know what the terminology is about spit. It's about business. So yes, and no one knows that more than VJ because he was. Go ahead, respond to that.
I was going to say, yeah, but Activision, you've got to look at it in isolation. Microsoft got 35 other teams. Are you telling me that they've got no potential exclusives that are going to take the industry?
There's ridiculous amounts of exclusives coming. A ridiculous amount. Yes. Well, listen, I mean, listen, everyone's entitled to their point. This is, wow, man. I got to tell you, folks, I'm a bit taken aback on how emotional people are over this, how it's really split down the middle, that people really are feeling, in their feelings or feeling a type of way about Microsoft allowing Call of Duty, a major exclusive that they paid for. And it wasn't, again, folks, big picture, man. If you think Call of Duty is the one, it's not. It's king. It's the mobile aspect that Microsoft wants to be a part of. And there's going to be, remember, I said this first, an Xbox Game Pass for mobile. That's coming. That is they're working on that right now. That's my opinion. That's not a fact. But Gerald Mack, generous friend of the show, he drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, shout out to Breakfast with Boom and the esteemed panel. Salute day to road trip to Oak. Oh, he's doing a road trip from Oakland to Detroit. Wow, dude. Well, be safe because there's gonna be some bad weather this weekend, and I'm glad that we can entertain. That's what we aim to do here. Big shout out to this chat. We had almost 450 people here today, and everyone, has been dropping their bars, so to speak. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. I don't hate on anybody, but Dreadpool, are you there, sir?
I am not muted anymore. Yes, what's up, everyone?
Dreadpool,
my apologies.
You're coming in hot, brother, and I'm gonna drop you into the boiling hot oil. So get ready. Here we go. If you've been listening to the show, I'm not sure if you've heard, there is a real divide with the community in regards to Microsoft announcing that Call of Duty, mainline Call of Duty, as well as popular, those are the words that they use, popular Activision Blizzard games are going to remain multi-plat. Now, the consensus is some people like myself, I honestly don't care because I'm winning and on Game Pass, right? But there are some Xbox purists that feel this is a sign of weakness for Microsoft. I want to get your opinion on this. Where do you fall on the exclusivity of Call of Duty? Isn't Microsoft showing weakness, allowing Call of Duty to remain on a PlayStation, their rival in the market?
All right. You know how we use the car analogy? If I buy a Cadillac, I'm not going to let my neighbor drive it. That whole premise, right?
Yeah,
and I use that a lot for like ZeniMax and everything else, right? So when it comes to that, I still believe in this. However, now we're talking about having a yacht, okay? We're driving around a yacht. Am I going to spend all that money and pay for my own gas, or am I going to charge people to come on and party on this yacht with me, and then they can pay for the gas and the other added expenses? You know what I mean? So we could keep it here on Xbox, or we could share it with where it's already known to sell, right? And the microtransactions are just more money. So when you look at it, if you're going to limit yourself on certain things, you gotta be open that you're going to limit yourself on income too. So when it comes to something like Activision, yeah, I do think that maybe after the deal is done, the ink is dried, the deals have already been fulfilled that were previously set up for however many years into the future. Once all that is said and done, I have a feeling that places like Game Pass that have the Ultimate Game Pass bonuses will have features, or it's like a certain skin like they do for Halo. I think that's going to be in there to kind of if you're into that, get you to go over that way. Usually that's not enough. So depending on what they do, how they do it, they can get you over there. Yet again, it's day and date on Game Pass. It's going to be this on Game Pass. It's going to be that on PC. So you're still in the Xbox ecosystem. Yet again, oh wait, if it's on PlayStation, you're still in the Xbox ecosystem. Just like MLB having Sony displayed on an Xbox system. So it's just what it is. For people to sit there and be like, no, this is mine. Yet again, didn't we have this issue with Spider-Man saying, yeah, certain things, I understand they developed Spider-Man. It's not their IP, but they developed the game. So that, that's part of their deal with Marvel to have this game only on their system, right? So if you want it, you got to go buy it. Same thing we said with ZeniMax. If you want it, you got to come over here to Xbox and buy it. But this is much bigger than that. You know what I mean? when you look at Minecraft, look how big Minecraft is, and that was already set in stone from the deal. It was in the writing. It has to stay multiplied. I don't know for if it's the main game or all the games, but you notice everything's multiplied when it comes to Minecraft. So it's not like they can't do it, or they won't do it, or they shouldn't do it. It's what's best for the ROI, right? So this, I don't see it as big of a deal. I still think that maybe campaign will be on Xbox. Maybe, once this all filters out a little bit more, they'll have certain things that you can only get on Xbox that you can't get on anywhere else other than if you're logged in. And even then, yet again, what I say, you're logged in. Maybe you still get access to certain things.
I mean,
you don't.
You're onto something, and I think that's a great point, that the perk system that you get currently through on Xbox Game Pass. I think what we will see is a lot of the bonuses that you were just referring to that we saw PlayStation get, and sometimes they wouldn't even come to Xbox. Well, that coin is going to be flipped. Obviously, now that's no longer the case. Microsoft owns the company, so Xbox gamers are going to be getting these bonus things. Now, the other thing that we haven't taken into account, and I haven't even talked about it with the other members, and because it just literally popped into my head, is there a chance that Microsoft does a 1-year exclusive? Hey, listen, Call of Duty coming out this year for Xbox Game Pass, and Xbox players, Sony players get it next year. Maybe they pull that. Maybe they turn around and say, "Hey, hey Sony, we want XYZ in our console. Otherwise, we will release it, but we're going to release it next year."
I could see them doing it. However, I don't think they would, because Phil already said that he doesn't want to keep certain things secluded.
He doesn't want to fragment the community. Yes,
so
correct.
And look at what happened with this last one. The not Vanguard, but the one previous, where they had on Sony an exclusive 1 year for a certain game mode. It finally came out to Xbox and nobody played it. So it's one of those you're gonna. Do you really want to bite the hand that feeds you when you do something like that? Do you want to cut off your nose to spite your face? You know what I mean? So throw those analogies out there. Do you really want to do something like that would put a black mark on Phil's words?
Yeah,
everybody
100%.
still comes back. I bought the I bought the One X because he said it was going to come with VR. Right? Come on now. Things change, and it's going to happen. They said, look, it's not going to be as what we wanted, so we had to make a decision. Now, yet again, do they do something like that where their words are thrown back in their face? I wouldn't think so. You know what I mean? I would think that they would keep it a little bit open, and certain things like skins, but everybody can play and have the choice to play against PC, crossplay, whatever you want. And yet, only certain skins are only on Xbox, where you're not limiting the gameplay styles, and you're not hampering, because basically that gameplay style that I spoke of got hampered. When Xbox got around to it, nobody played it. Everybody had already moved on to the next game. So that being said, though, we don't know how if they're going to keep turning these out every year once everything's fulfilled, because I'm sure they still have a yearly project right now to push them out because of the contracts. But after that, that's a different story. Yet again, things change. And as things change, I'm sure they will look it over and make an appropriate decision that they feel is good for them. You know what I mean? My van breaks down, I have to buy a new car. I'm buying what I think is going to be good for my family.
Right.
I'm buying a vehicle. I'm not going to buy another van to replace it exactly the same. I'm buying something that'll be a little bit more economical in these times. Something that will definitely be more protective of my family. Because before it was just me. I had a car. Then I got married. We ended up getting a van. So things change, and this is what people forget. As things change, you make the appropriate choices at that time with what you see and what you predict. And everybody that's sitting there and just hogging it, oh, this is mine. No, it's not yours. It's theirs to make a decision. It's ours to enjoy. But you shouldn't be, it's same whole thing that we've talked about before. You shouldn't keep Spider-Man behind. Okay, yeah, I get it. I agree with that too. However, it's a decision that they made because they were able to make that decision. And this is going to be a decision that Phil and team will make also on whether or not they want to do the same thing and have a bad light on it. Because when they said you can only have it here, but you can't have it there. It's the same game across the whole board. All they did was take out this little code that Spider-Man is active. Okay. Are they going to do the same thing where they're going to take out this mission? I could see them doing it, like I said before, campaign. They could still use the same source code and the assets and just make the campaign something different. I could see that. But that's yet again what will happen when that time comes and they can do that.
A great point. Yeah. I mean, listen.
Was that hot enough?
That's very hot. And you know something? More so than that, it actually makes real great sense. Bold Alpha Wolf drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Oh my God, what are those in development exclusives doing today in terms of console sales? It's doing jack, and let's be real, Call of Duty needs to be exclusive." Dude, I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate the extreme generosity. But the thing is this. I've said this before, and I will reiterate it right now. The reason why Call of Duty, it doesn't matter that it's going to be on PlayStation is because the real exclusive is Xbox Game Pass. I am telling you, I am forecasting, and you can come back into this panel and be like, boom, you were 100% right. The casual audience that goes out to buy a PlayStation for a Call of Duty game is not going to stay on PlayStation when that game is going to cost them $76.43 here in New York, when you can get the same exact experience with perks that you can't get on PlayStation when you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass for $15 a month. That is the contributing factor that must be put into the forefront of any conversation. Exclusive. Yeah, please come on in.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we also have, what is it, a grocery store or some sort of supermarket that is putting on, do not buy COD on PlayStation because Xbox owns it. I mean, verbatim.
Dude,
you have the misinformation right there, right?
Yep.
How many times we walked in?
Yes.
I know you've done it too. You've walked in to buy an Xbox game, and they're like, "Is this for PlayStation?" And you're like, "No, I said Xbox. I'm wearing an Xbox shirt. I said Xbox. Are you sure you don't want it for PlayStation? It's better there."
Yeah. Boom, just think of this.
Now we're seeing the reverse.
Just think of this, guys. This little bit of content, potentially. Xbox COD version with exclusive downloadable content only available on Xbox, such as play Call of Duty with the Master Chief, the Doom guy, the Wolfenstein guy.
Yep.
All of these major first-person shooter characters and be able to play with them in a Call of Duty game. Wouldn't that be freaking cool?
That was something that's probably going to happen, Noof. That's fantastically put.
And only on Xbox.
And Activision has a lot more titles than just Call of Duty. So one title or two title or three titles compared to how many hundreds do they have that they have out there?
90 outright and 300 that they have licensing, but it may be like a mixed publishing thing or something like that. So there's hundreds.
So there's hundreds. So
yeah.
And he wants to bring back stuff. I mean, anybody remember Bloodborne that Blizzard put out? I don't know if does anybody remember? Am I the only one?
Bloodborne?
Yeah.
No, I actually don't remember.
It was a kind of like a side-scrolling platformer.
Holy crap! No, I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
it's an old one. It came out like on the Super Nintendo, I want to say. But yeah, it was one of those games that kind of came out. They came out on the some sort of collection that they just had last year. They brought it back along with some other ones. But that's the thing. There's so many other ones. We're concentrating on Call of Duty. It's not just Call of Duty. It's What's
Well, you obviously have Overwatch 2 that's
Overwatch, there you
coming.
go.
You also have Diablo 4. As a matter of fact, Louis Augustus drops a $5 super chat and says, "You gentlemen are only focusing on Call of Duty, but they mention other popular ABK titles. What does that mean? It's not all about Call of Duty." I agree, and I think that those are the two titles that are going to be coming multi-plat. And again, I get what people are fighting on this. Sony kicked Sony fans kick Xbox fans in the ribs multiple times last gen, and a lot of people are still holding that as something that bothers them. That hey, listen, I get it. I've seen the tweets. I want to see Sony crushed into the ground, and I could laugh over them. But folks, I hear you, man. But I just think that we have to look at this as a business. Microsoft is saying the right things. Could they change? Could Call of Duty, the single player, be Xbox exclusive? Possibly, I guess. But again, that would open up trouble with the FTC if they promising one thing and then go back on their word. Listen, we're getting close to the end of the show. I got to read these last super chats. We're going to get everyone out of here, especially because Noof has got to bounce. We also got Jay Nichols drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "People like sports teams because when they win, you got bragging rights. Phil and his team didn't get that at all. Nobody trusts them like Sony." But they did their victory lap with Bethesda, right? Everyone was what did they do? Day one after the signature, ink is not even dry yet. They confirm Starfield exclusive, Redfall exclusive. That's the victory lap. They can't say anything right now because the deal isn't done. When the victory lap comes, trust me, I'm sure that they will celebrate with the fans, and we'll see what happens. Pragmatic Eagle, generous friend of the show. Hey Eagle, what's going on, brother? Glad to see you here. He drops a $10 super chat and says, "Every one of these IPs can remain multi-plat, and it's still a win for Microsoft. Why? Their entry into the mobile market and their potential foothold in the PC gaming space. This is a win, not Call of Duty mobile plus PC." Yeah, and I absolutely agree 100% with them. Folks, listen, this has been a great show. Again, 400 plus people here. If you're enjoying the program, hit the like button. If you didn't enjoy the program and somehow or another I insulted you with my I don't give an F attitude regarding the exclusive, then hit the dislike button. What can I tell you? We come here, we talk it out. We try not to curse. Joe threw an F-bomb in there, but it is what it is. One sneaks in every now and again. We try to keep it PG. Let's get to the outros. We'll start first with Noof because Noof's got to get out of here. Noof, obviously, everyone knows you. I love having you on this show. You brought an unbelievable amount of clarity and some sense to the conversation today, so I thank you for that. By all means, sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can check out your two shows. Also, talk about maybe getting another panel member or two for your night program. Maybe someone listening may want to reach out to you and say, "Hey, listen, I want a podcast," and maybe you can do that. And of course, tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media.
For sure. Well, let me just state it's been awesome. Thanks for the invite. And sorry I was a little bit late responding to you last night, but it's always a pleasure to be on Breakfast with Boom. Amazing panel today. Fuzzy, Crispy Bomb, VJ, Dreadpool, and obviously Mr. Badbit, who had to take off a little bit earlier. Always a pleasure to be here. Lots of great points articulated today. And like you said, people don't have to agree with us, and that's fine. It's just our opinions, there really is no right and wrong, but it's just how Microsoft is conducting business. You either like it or you don't. You know what? It's your money and it's your choice. Spend it however you see fit. And the one bomb we can always count on, regardless if it's an F-bomb or not, is Crispy Bomb. Good to see you, Crispy. So my show is Gaming After Dark Tuesday nights at 10 Eastern, 8 p.m. Mountain Time. Yes, we did lose the services of the middle-aged game guy, but you can find him on Primetime Gaming with Mr. BoomStick XL and friends. And we do miss him dearly. The show will never be quite the same without him, but those are the facts of life. I've been in the same predicament before. I've had to make decisions and drop podcasts due to timing and work and things like that, and it just really sucks. And there's only so much time in the day to play games and podcast and everything under the sun. So, but we wish Mag all the best. He's an amazing guy. Like I said, I'm ever grateful he was able to spend just over a year with us. We still have Titan Troggle, and we are in search of another panel member. But we just want to take our time with it and make sure that whoever gets that prestigious third spot will definitely be a huge addition for the show. And we'll go from there. And on Sundays, you can catch me with Good Morning Xbox, another entirely different panel there, a very Xbox-centric and PG-rated podcast that you can enjoy without a whole lot of, the other stuff that we bring on Tuesday nights. So I appreciate all the support. It's been absolutely amazing. And to all the chat, you guys are awesome. Thanks for letting me be here today, Boom, and I look forward to coming back in the future.
Yeah, and it's great to have you, brother. Definitely appreciate you being here. Real quick, Brett Bingham, generous friend of the show, he drops a $5 super chat and says, "Bring back Soldier of Fortune." That was a good one, but the next one excites me. Project Gotham Racing. Yes, bring that back. I would love to see that come back. Loved PGR. Bring StarCraft. That's coming, dude. I'm telling you right now, World's Edge is going to team up with Blizzard, and they're going to bring back StarCraft. That would be big. He says, bring an Empire Earth, the consoles, resurrect StarCraft Ghost. I have a strong suspicion that StarCraft Ghost is going to come back. I just think that that's one of those titles that just never died. And man, it would be pretty dope if Microsoft were to bring that back. Lord Roughness, generous friend of the program, drops a £5 super chat and says, "Hi, Boom and panel. I think you were onto something. Xbox could bring Call of Duty out for themselves day and date, and maybe not a year, but 3 months after for PlayStation." I think that's certainly a possibility. But let's get Fuzzy out of here. Fuzzy, listen, thank you so much for being here, brother. We know what you got going on, and our heart goes out to you, of course.
Thank you.
I love the fact that you were here, and hopefully this took your mind off some of the stuff that's going on in real life. And you had some great points as always, which is why you are a panel member. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you and potentially strike up a conversation, and more importantly, check out and subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Well, I want to thank you, Boom, for having me on, and thank everybody in the chat that came out. I want to thank Mr. Badbit. I want to thank Noof. I want to thank Dreadpool, VJ, Crispy, everyone. Just this was awesome. Awesome way to kick back and talk about stuff we enjoy. And while we may not all agree, we can agree to disagree, and that's all right too. This is all about fun. And if you're not enjoying the games, then you probably should look at other hobbies. But just anybody that wants to hear my ramblings on gaming, you can always follow me or have a conversation with me on Twitter at _Belvedere. And for my YouTube, it's mainly like replays right now. I got to do more content. I got to dedicate more time, just being on topic on some of the stuff that's going on in gaming and, my point of view on things. But you can find me on YouTube at _Belvedere. But once again, thank you everybody that came out. Thank you in the chat. Thank you on the panel. You guys are awesome.
It's great to have you a part of the conversation, brother. And once again, heart goes out to you and your family. And we'll be definitely can't wait to get you back here next week. Crispy Bomb, I know that you still probably have a lot to say, and you know what? Maybe we can get you on a special edition show that I might do next week, depending. We'll see if our schedules could meet up. But I'm sure that you're going to be talking about this on your other show that you're on. Thanks again for being here, and of course, being as real as always.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. Fuzzy, my heart goes out to you, bro. At Chrissy Bomb on Twitter, Chrissy Bomb 28 Xbox Live. You can find me on Retro Renegades Tuesday night 7 p.m. The next podcast 8 p.m. Thursday, and of course back here on Breakfast with Boom Friday 10 a.m.
Yes, well, thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And of course, VJ, thank you again, brother. You brought some major points, even though that spot of tea may not have woken you up so early because you are on the West Coast, and obviously it's 3 hours earlier. But we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us each and every week, and of course dropping your knowledge bombs that you did. Tell everyone where they could reach out to you on social media, but potentially check out what else you got going on.
I appreciate that, Boom. Yeah, it's a bit early for me, so my brain's not fully functioning at the moment. I think even the wildlife in my backyard are still tucked up and asleep. But I just wanted to say that that gentleman who put in his hard-earned money in the super chat to ask me a question or pose a question to us. I just want to say my response was unflattering, shall we say, and I respect your opinion, no issues at all. But for me, Boom, you know me, I don't really care for division and conflict, especially if it makes no commercial sense in the foreseeable future. And I would investigate. Don't have to take my word for anything. I would just go and investigate Microsoft's mission statement and investigate how every division works for a better understanding of their business practices and what's made them successful today, right? And if you want exclusivity and think that's best to overcome Sony, then question Phil, not me. I support and respect his decision. And for those that want to put Phil on a pedestal and give him a lifetime award, seem to be the same ones that are questioning him today. You can't have it both ways, right? Am I wrong? But anyway, but you can find me on Stubbs Gaming on Wednesday. We had a really great show this week with the wonderful Miss Assassin Looper that attended the show. And again, Boom, thanks for having me on the show and putting up with me and everybody on the panel. Have a great weekend, and everybody in the and the audience in the chat as well. Thanks.
Great to have you a part of the program, and we love having you here each and every week, VJ. And of course, last and no way least, Dreadpool, you came in hot, you dropped it like it was hot. We loved what you had to say, and of course, like always, you made a ton of sense. Tell everyone where they can check out Breaking Bread with Dread, and more importantly, potentially reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media.
Yes, you could find me on Breaking Bread with Dread on anywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, radio, public radio, just about anywhere. Just look for it, you'll find it. In case you need some help, look up linktree.com/Dreadpool, and it's got my links to YouTube, my Twitter, my TikTok, and I am moving on to some gameplay stuff on another channel called Hoover
nice,
GG.
Dude, nice.
So I've been putting some of it's just like TikTok for gamers. Okay, so I haven't seen anybody dancing yet, and I'm not doing any dances either, so don't look forward to that. But back to what's going on here. I got to thank everybody for showing up. It's awesome. You know, it's great you got to remember, you got to have the conversation. If we don't have conversations, we don't understand each other, right? And if we just argue and just never listen other people's points of view, then we don't learn. All right, so we got to remember, we want varying opinions. We want all this stuff. You want this conversation. We don't want to have it like a aggravated debate or anything like that. So just remember, let's keep it peaceful. Let's talk to each other. Let's understand each other and share our gaming hobby, right? Oh, I almost forgot. Later on tonight at 7 Eastern, right? Husk and I are doing the creator feature for GBTB, and we have Marisha that we're going to be interviewing.
Nice, dude.
She was in the top 20 Billboard with one of her songs. She is going to release. Actually, we're going to get the first play of a new song. So world premiere.
So you got the exclusive, brother. That's
we got an exclusive world premiere from her. So it's going to be great. She's going to play a few songs, and like I said, one of those songs will be a new song that she wrote.
Nice, brother.
So
well, that's big.
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't. I'm shocked. So, but yeah, it's check us out, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Nice, brother. Nice. Well, listen, folks, thank you so much for being here. We had well over 400 here today, closer to 500, which is bonkers awesome. And I can't thank you enough for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. Again, folks, listen, I'm not always going to agree. You're certainly not always going to agree with my opinions on things, but I think we can all still remain mates and friends and have different opinions. And you know what? Again, if you enjoy today's content and you are just finding the channel for the first time, consider subscribing. We are on the hunt to 25K. I'm skipping 15 and 20. I want 25K already because I want my plaque, damn it. Folks, we just crossed 10,000 subs a couple of weeks ago. It's a big deal. I've only been doing YouTube for about 4 years, live content for only about 3. So I have been very blessed with the significant success I've seen. And that's thanks to you for tuning in each and every week. So thank you so much for that. And of course, I want to thank all the super chats that come in. Those power the show in regards to giveaways, channel memberships. Also, if you are interested in becoming a channel member and helping to, again, continue to power the giveaways that we do. We did some really, really big ones. The biggest one last year was the one that we spent $1,000 for Christmas, and we're going to do that. We're going to try and up the ante by at least another 500 and do a $1,500 giveaway for Christmas of this year. But we do that through the super chats and the channel memberships because we're all about giving back to the community. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me, folks. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules. And I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.